Well, hello. Midnight. Time to start another video. Been awake here, sitting and waiting for midnight to get here. Anyway, the title for this video is the same one that was going to be for the video yesterday, but of course I changed that in lieu of what happened. The title is, Anything I Say Will Be Used Against Me. So-called law enforcement officers were trained to say, quote, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you, end quote. Even though they often skip reading our rights, it's still in the training, or so I believe. As the criminal elite have become more entrenched, they have trained their patsies, police, to violate people's rights more and more. Many people do not and cannot grasp my situation, and I cannot make it clear without hurting others. This keeps me in a bind so that it seems almost impossible to get free to speak clearly. I do my best, but it's a challenge. There's more at risk than meets the eye. This will continue until the cabal is disempowered. Until then, none of us are truly free. That last sentence, or the last two sentences, to me are the most true things that we could ever imagine. The world is run by criminals. Criminals have risen to the highest positions of power and pretend authority. Is a de facto thing. It's not a de jure thing. De jure is something that is real. De facto is something that is artificial and made up. The evil entities that have taken over the world are de facto. They do not operate in truth. They do not operate in honor. It's a totally dishonorable system. Now, I had one of my New Age, New Thought friends post on my wall. I'm not sure when it was posted. I saw it this morning as I was just looking through previous posts. And it was posted 3 ways to fail at everything. Complain about everything, blame others for your problems, and never be grateful. As I sat here pondering this, I thought, well, I'm going to add something else. 3 ways to stay entrapped. Never admit what's wrong. Avoid getting to the root of the problem. Argue with those who try to wake you up. You know, I've been trying to wake people up. I've been trying to get people for a long time to see that we have a better world possible if only we will learn to stand firmly for truth and not avoid the problems, not be in denial. I consider much of spiritual practice to be practices of denial. People don't like hearing that. That's why I've lost most of my spiritual community locally. It's why I cannot find a place to live. Now, I want to say that I'm very grateful that my son and I have had some really good conversations, and I actually I handed him money to pay rent for staying here, which he refused. But I offered him that yesterday, but he and I are coming at least to an understanding. I mean, it may be that I have to stay here until one of the apartments opens up that is affordable to me. Now, I do have one other alternative. There's a friend that I know is in a situation where he needs a place to stay, and someone suggested that he and I get together and combine our resources and find a mutual place. Now, that friend unfortunately changed his phone number, and I contacted a mutual friend and can't get through to him. And I don't find when I type his name in, no email address comes up. It might on my other computer, but I don't have my other computer here. It's in storage. Most of my stuff remains in storage, and I don't have access to it here. I have a bare bones minimum of what I absolutely need, pretty much. Not too much more than that here, because I have limited space. I mean, I moved out of a big house into a home half the size, and I have one room, and I'm grateful that I've been able to have the roof over my head immediately. My son wasn't even home when the whole thing happened. He was on a little vacation, mini vacation. But in any case, I am grateful for lots of things, but I'm not grateful at all that so many of my friends do not even acknowledge that there's a problem, let alone do anything to fix it. It's resist not evil. Don't take a stand for what's wrong. Just go along with it, and if it's happening, it must be the will of God, because that's what is. Accept what is. I'm sorry, I don't believe I can ever be in that position. I'd rather die than accept a world that is run by criminals, accept a world that is based on lies. I can't ever accept that. My whole life has been dedicated to helping to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth, where truth is dominant, where people have natural rights that are God-given, and nobody in authority takes them away or even tries to take them away. I'd like to get back to the way it was in childhood, where I loved police, where police, I knew police on a first name basis. One of my best friends was one of the local police, and I think if I'm not mistaken, he became the chief of police. Of course, it was Ori Van Dyke, who was the chief of police when I was little, growing up. A Woodpile Van Dyke relative. There were lots of Van Dykes, and even Van Dykes that spelled their name differently than I do, that lived in the town that I grew up in, and actually Waldwick and Midland Park, two towns that I grew up in. So, folks, I ask for your prayers. I'd love to have the support of my former spiritual community, but that may never happen. To me, they're living in Never Never Land. They're living an illusion. They're living in a dream world that doesn't exist in this reality. And people blame me and get mad at me because I keep talking about this world as if it's the reality. And I say, don't you understand that this is just the illusory reality, or the illusionary reality? Yeah, I do understand that's what you think. But this is the reality that we have to deal with. This is the reality that forms, ultimately, the other reality. We've got to be able to deal with the problems that we've been dealt in order to grow, in order to become the best we can be, in order to become all that we were created to be. We apparently have to go through this entanglement and extricate ourselves from it in order to be free. It's not going to be handed to us on a silver platter. It's not going to come to us without the hard choices that we have to make, without dedicating ourselves to facing the problem and finding the solutions. And of course, the big solution to me is for God to start actually supporting the people that want to do the right thing, supporting the people that want to have a world that works for everybody, not just a handful of so-called elite. I appreciate your consideration on these things that I've brought to you, and I do also appreciate your prayers.